Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Tea with Publicity. Happy long weekend. Happy Labor Day. I can't believe it's already freaking Labor Day. I don't know where the summer went, but I'm actually kind of excited for fall, which is like a weird hot take. I'm just over this like 90-degree humidity. But anyway, I am here today with my new producer, Emily. Hi, Emily.
Hello, how are you?
Welcome to Tea with Publicity.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
I know, guys. So as I said to you, I think 2 weeks ago, Mackenzie she's still Bar Stool, just doing a different position. So I do have Emily with me here now, and I have Kelly Keegs from my office joining me for today's interview. She helped me answer the Ask Alyssa questions, and then she also helped me spill the tea. Between the two of us, we could talk a freaking lot. So I'm not going to have that long of an intro this week because me and Kelly we got right into it. And if you are familiar with like the Bar Stool like personalities here, then the first half of our interview you're really gonna like. And if you are not familiar with like the whole Bar Stool atmosphere, the second half of our interview you're gonna love. So make sure you stick around for the entire thing because we talk about being women in our 30s, what we're looking for in relationships. I have her clear up those dating rumors with the Vibbs from our office. We give some really good advice. We talk a lot about friendship, everything in between. So to kick us off, I'm gonna talk about my life and just give you a little bit of an update. So I went to a TikTok party, and what's interesting is that usually people get invited to events and you get to meet, but since everyone that kind of started on TikTok happened during the pandemic, there's so many people that I have become social media friends with that I never actually was able to meet in real life. So it was actually really fun to get to see people. It was a white party. And like, as a curvy girl, wearing white is like my worst nightmare at this moment because it is just so unforgiving and so ugly. And I think even really skinny girls feel this way too. Like, just white is not flattering. Even though it's a gorgeous color, it's just not the best. So I ordered like 10 outfits from Boohoo in like a million colors because it was just the only place I could find that had a lot of options. And then I ordered like one more expensive option from Topshop. Wow, I made that up. From Shopbop. They sound kind of similar. Of course, I go with the more expensive option. It was really cute. You could look at it on my Instagram. But I did end up finding something. When I was trying on all the Boohoo outfits, they kind of looked like what I'm wearing today. It's like a blazer dress. I looked like a pharmacist. Like, I really looked like I was in a doctor's coat. And I was like, I can't meet all these people for the first time wearing a freaking doctor's coat. So I'm happy with the option that I went with. Again, you guys can go look at it and make fun of me. But I think I didn't look like a pharmacist because my cleavage was out. And I'm pretty sure pharmacists, don't wear their boobs out. So aside from the TikTok party, there have been like really wild floods in New York. Last night was crazy, flash flood warning, so many hurricanes, tornadoes, whatever the hell is going on. And this morning I decided, you know what, I'm going to take an Uber to work because the subway shut down. And my Uber was a Tesla. And like, what a vibe. Like post flood Tesla on my way to work. So yeah, I rode to work in style. And speaking of cars, this is really funny. I get a text from my sister being like, did you hear mom got a speeding ticket? And I was like, no. So I call my mom and I'm like, Mom, like Jackie said you got a speeding ticket. And she said, yeah, I was going 90. And I go, 90? What's the speed limit? 65? Like, that's pretty aggressive. And she's like, oh yeah, I guess it's pretty high. I don't know why everyone thinks it's so weird. I'm like, Mom, 90 is not like this low number. And she said that the cop came up to her and was like, ma'am, like, what are you in a rush to get to? And she said she just sat there and didn't say anything because she didn't know what to say. And then he asked her again. He's like, ma'am, one more time. Like, what were you in such a rush for? And she goes, and you have to picture my mom has like a New Jersey accent. She was like, well, like the 287 was closed and the parkway was closed. There's all these floods because everything from the floods. She's like, everything's closed. And you know what? I think just when I got an open road, I was just so excited to be on open road that I must have just been gunning it. And she said the cop was cracking up. And he's like, Okay, I'll give you the lesser of the charge because, like, he thought she was funny.
At least she was honest.
At least she was honest. I'm sitting at my desk because I called her at my desk. I was crying. She's like, yeah, he was laughing. I'm like, and my sister texts me. She's like, Mom's the only 60-year-old who's like going 90 down like the Parkway. She's out of control. So that's been my life. I am spending Labor Day in the city this weekend. I know you guys are going to be listening to this, after Labor Day. But since I did go to the TikTok party, my family has banned me from seeing them because with like the Delta variant and like they're just like convinced that I'm like the carrier in the family of COVID. So I'm just not seeing my family for the foreseeable future. So I will be in the city. I will update you guys on the next podcast, but I don't think I'm going to be doing anything like super crazy. I think just, I might have a little Brooklyn day with my friend, go get some Luke's Lobster, walk into Brooklyn, maybe go to my friend's lake house for a day because her parents are more chill than mine. And, just hang easy. It's fine though. It's okay. At this point, I'm used to kind of being the one to like be shunned from the family because I'm the only one living a more social life at this point. And I'm okay with that because like I need to be social. Otherwise, I'm going to lose my frickin' marbles. So I will update you guys on that next week. Once again, don't forget my home decor merch is out. Follow me on TikTok, Instagram, subscribe, all of those things. Here is my interview with Kelly Keegs. I hope you guys enjoy, and I hope you had an amazing weekend. Hey guys, I am here with Kelly Keegs, my coworker. Welcome.
Here I am. Hello, hello. Thank you for having me.
You've joined me for Ask Alyssa in the past.
Yes, I have.
But today's the full Monty.
I'm excited.
Is that the saying?
That is the full Monty. I haven't heard about that in so long.
I don't know where I got that from.
That's it's like a sex thing. You know that?
Is it?
Yes. So there were, I want to say it's on like Rugrats where they made some joke being like, it's the full Monty. And literally that is a joke like, in a strip club, you go in and, in like olden days, you ask for the full Monty. Yeah, you pay for the full Monty. And it's like this whole thing. But the joke pops up all the time in like kids shows.
Wait.
And as a kid, I was saying it all the time.
Monty reminds me of Addison Rae's dad. That's his name. And I don't know why I know this.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
I did not know that was his name.
Because people, he like tries to like be in the public.
Yeah, he comes through. I see him coming through all the time. Yeah,
Monty.
yeah.
I think that's his name.
What up, Monty? I was like, is that his name? To be honest, I've never even once looked for her dad's name. Only her mom, Sherry Nicole, who's our Lord and Savior.
I listened to Harry Jowsey's podcast the other day, and Monty was on.
Harry Jowsey. He is.
Yeah, I do hate to admit that I find him attractive.
I mean, he's so hot. He's 100% a fuckboy. He's ridiculous, but I love him.
He just talks about sex so openly that you like know he's good.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. He seems cool as shit. Yeah. But anyway, you were saying
I actually DM'd him the other day. I was like, because I saw he was in New York, and I was like, hey, like, come on my podcast. He didn't answer.
Damn. I hate
whatever.
That's like me with Nicholas Braun. I'm constantly DMing him being like, hey. And now I can't anymore. It's like he knows Bar Stool. Yeah, he like likes Bar Stool, and he's always on. Hasn't been on Chicks in the Office, but he like is friendly with them, and he'll definitely come through here at some point. And I'm just like, damn, it's gonna be really embarrassing when he sees all those DMs from like 2018.
Oh no, that I've like had to resend. I've had to unsend DMs to people.
Oh, you know what? That's a good idea. I should do that.
Yeah.
To be honest,
and also the worst part is once you get verified, your DMs go into like a different folder. Kind of, they go to the top of like. There's different categories in your DMs, like all requests and then top requests.
Yeah, I have like primary and general and then like the side thing. But I'm not verified, so I don't know the verified stuff. When I started working here, I got verified. Now what happens is people that I DM'd in like 2018 to come on my podcast are now seeing my message. And they're replying to me. They're like, yeah, I'd love to come on. I'm like, guys, this was like 3 years ago. Like,
I'm no longer interested.
Like, yeah. It's like, you're not really in this anymore. Like sorry about that.
Like people from The Bachelor that were like relevant then, but like maybe not now. And I'm like,
The Bachelor People. If you have a podcast and it's like reality TV related in any way, anybody that's ever been on a Bachelor franchise show will come onto your podcast.
100%.
Like, if you are worried, like, oh, I want to interview somebody, whatever, The Bachelor People are the easiest to get. They never say no. They never go home.
Well, because
I love it about them.
When you have to strike while the iron's hot. That's 100%, why. And they want to stay
relevant.
Know
that too. Yeah, they know that too. That they're like, yeah, okay, I want as much publicity as I can. Like, I don't
blame them. I would be a thirst monster too.
100%. Yeah.
Wait, okay.
Just
so
being smart.
Let's rewind a little bit. So Kelly and I started around the same time, like I think within a few weeks of each other.
Yeah.
Full time. But you've been
January.
in the Bar Stool atmosphere for years.
I have. I've been, I want to say about 5 years or so. About a year, I want to say like a year and a half before they moved to New York. I was doing a couple of things because I went viral online one time, and it was I was like the plane breakup tweeter. Like that was my whole thing. Good. And Kevin Clancy was like pretty involved in that. Like he was retweeting me, and then everybody at Bar Stool was tweeting about it, so it helped it really go viral. And it was at the time where like it wasn't that easy to go viral. Like now I think a tweet goes viral every single day. Yeah. Like it's not that crazy anymore. But at the time it was like not I don't know. I don't understand like how it became such a big deal, but like I was in like the printed paper, like I was everywhere, and it was really cool, but also overwhelming. And at the time I was like, this is it. Like, this is my big break. Like, fuck all these other people. And it was like, not quite.
Famous.
Yeah. It was like, no, not really. Maybe like 5 years from now. Sure. But no, not really. But then after that, I started making appearances on Kevin's, he has a different podcast called Mail Time with his brother. So I was appearing on there a little bit. Became friendly with people. I had already kind of known them before as like friends, and just kind of came in and out. When they came to New York, I went to the office all the time. Like I did radio with Rhea and Fran all the time if one of them was like sick, or if they just wanted somebody to come on and talk The Bachelor or whatever. So I was always popping in and out like a freelancer, but I wasn't paid anything. I just wanted to be there.
Funny story so I knew Kelly, and I knew that she was like affiliated with Bar Stool. And when I was going through my contracting process, this is like just the anxiety in me. I was like waiting for Erica to send me my final contract.
Yeah.
And I saw you post like 2 days before mine, like, let's make it official. And you received your contract.
Yes, it was like
And in my head, I was like, oh my God, like they're sending out contracts like they didn't send mine. Maybe I'm not getting it. Like I started panicking, thinking.
I'm sorry that made you feel that way.
It had nothing to do with
I would have felt the same way though. I would have been like, fuck.
Yeah, picture if you were waiting on something and then all of a sudden, and I was like, oh my God, they're sending them out. Like I know, blah, blah, blah. And then like 2 days later, mine came through.
Yeah, and then it came through.
And then I waited to not tell Kelly until I started because I was too scared to jinx anything at that point. And I feel like social circles are so small that I didn't want it necessarily getting out there to people before I was able to like make the announcement myself.
100%. I didn't tell. That was the first time I even mentioned. Like I had been. Let's see. That was in January that I signed my full-time contract. I had been brought on as like a freelancer for Cutting Stems. So Cutting Stems is the Bachelor live after show that myself and Trent tried it once before in like 2017 when they were in the old office. Rhea and Fran weren't even here yet. Like it was a whole thing. And we did it with Dave. And we did a couple episodes. Dave got too busy always, but we were only doing it on Facebook Live. And so it was a nightmare. Facebook Live sucks. And we only did one season. We did Nick Viall's season.
I didn't realize it was you and Trent first.
Yeah. So it's the live thing has always been my thing. I like a live show. I like a live whatever. So that was my thought. I got them all to do it. Dave agreed to it. And we did it, and it was good. It just wasn't that well received because it should have been on YouTube. It was ahead of its time, I keep saying, but like it just wasn't. It wasn't right at the time, and so I was always like kind of bummed out about it. But it was in the back of my mind. I was like, one day we're gonna do the show again. Like this show deserves it.
It's
like
a good show.
We want it to be a Watch What Happens Live, but for The Bachelor, you know. And then so I pitched it again to Erica and Jen last fall. When I knew that the lineup was going to be like 6.
I didn't really know Cutting Stems was like your baby.
Yeah, that's my thing. That's me.
Wow.
And so, and obviously like the girls that I had been doing Instagram lives after the episodes of The Bachelor for a couple of years. Like I would just go live on Instagram and just talk about the episode for 20 minutes and just kind of go on and on and interact with the audience, and then I'd repost it later. And so I just brought that idea to them, and I kind of broke it down, and I broke down like how it could be sold and whatever, and if they thought it was a good idea and how I wanted to give it a try again. And then, but before that, I had asked Rhea, Fran, and Trent if they would be into trying it. Like, I'm going to pitch it. Like, would you guys be involved? And they were like, yeah, for sure. And it all kind of fell together. Owens Mixers is our sponsor there, and they love us. And now we have this like giant ass set for Bachelor in Paradise. It's so cool. It makes me feel really good. So that was kind of like a good thing.
If someone ever can't go, this is my request to step in as replacement. Like if someone's sick or something, my followers keep DMing me being like, we need to see you on Cutting Stems. I'm like, it's not up to, like, you know what I mean? Like,
no, if someone's not there, sometimes Trent can't be there. Like that's a whole,
like if someone
thing.
can't
He's got golf
come.
stuff. Yeah.
Because people always ask me, they're like, we want to see you collabing with people in the office and this and that. But it's hard because we all have our own separate things, like at the end of the day.
Sure. Yeah.
And like, things just have to happen naturally.
Yeah, the collabing is fun. The only thing about it is you don't want to whatchamacallit?
Like step on people's toes.
Not even step on people's toes. It's more so like people like consistency more than they want to admit. Like, so whenever, like, for example, if Trent is not there on the show,
Trent? Yeah.
It's all it is. The entire thing is comments. Where's Trent? Where's Trent? Where's Trent?
Yeah.
And same thing with, it happens to me if he's not there and I help them with their podcast recap. So it'll be me, Rhea, and Fran doing the podcast recap, where in general it's usually just Trent.
Yeah.
And I'll always come on and be like, oh, I know everybody's disappointed that it's me and not Trent.
Sorry, guys.
And then I get like a, yeah, girl, like, love you, but miss Trent. Like, that's all I ever get.
No,
and
it
so
is
that's
true.
the kind of shit, like, you'll get that. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
everybody gets that. People like get so set in their routine, but it is nice to be able to like do a little cross-pollination when you can.
Oh, absolutely. Because I love The Bachelor. We'll spill the tea in a little bit because I do have some thoughts that I want to talk about.
Oh, absolutely.
Bachelor in Paradise stuff.
I love that. Bachelor in Paradise is actually so much better this season than I thought it was going to be. We'll get into it.
Yeah. So we started around the same time. Sometimes I have to remind myself though that you've known everyone for way longer, because I'm like, Kelly has so many friends here, and like we started on the same day, and like,
oh yeah,
I have no friends here.
Say, bitch, I've been like hovering around this place.
But then
for
I remember.
Years.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't. It's either people know that or people don't know it at all. Like it's very 50-50. Like I would say I know everybody pretty well up until the move to this office. Once this office came, then I was kind of like doing my own thing. I had given up on the situation for a while. I like gave up on my podcast for a little bit. I was like, you know what? No, I'm going to focus on like my real job and, just like working in fashion and whatever. Like this is my life now. Like I was just kind of bummed about it. And then, it ended up all working out. But so there are still so many people here that I like don't know. And now I've gotten to know since coming in January. But yeah, the like original crew,
the OGs.
Yeah, they just, I just get drunk with them all the time. So
you've
that's
been
why
around.
they know me. Yeah, only reason why.
Hi guys, interrupting you really quickly to tell you about Taser. You've heard me talk about it before. I have the strike light. It's rechargeable, it's small, it's compact enough to fit in your glove compartment, or in my case, a purse, because I live in New York City. And it just helps me feel safer and protected. It comes with a flashlight on one side. It is rechargeable, and you could get it without a permit in most US states. You could save 15% by going to taser.com with the promo code T. That is spelled TASER.com with the promo code T, TEA, for 15% off. Restrictions do apply, so see the site for details. And don't forget to keep yourself, your family, everyone around you safe by using the Taser Strike Light.
So you're my age, you're 30, right? Mm-hmm. And we both live alone in the city.
Yes, we do.
I want to talk about that a little bit, because I always just talk about like mental health here and being single or whatever it may be, like all these things that we go through as like women in our 30s.
For sure.
What's it like for you hosting a podcast with people that are so much younger, or always just being around people that are younger?
That for me it's sometimes kind of hard. Like more than I would have thought it would have been.
Wait, also just to fill the listeners in, if you're not familiar, so Kelly hosts Because We Got High with Rhea, who's I think 25 or 24.
24, she just turned 24.
And then Fran, I almost just said, Brianna, who's 21.
22, just turned 22.
22.
Yeah, they both just had birthdays. Like
okay, so 22
months,
and 24, and you're 30. So
yes.
There is quite a difference there.
There's a difference, and there is a difference in our, like, we all have different life experiences too. Like I went to 4 full years of college and then lived in New York for however many years before coming here. So I've like, that to me feels like a different life. Like I have lived that life, and now this is like a new life. Yeah. Meanwhile, like Rhea's never been to, or she was in school for like a short amount of time. And then she came right to Bar Stool when she was, I want to say 19. And she's just like lived this life. So I would say out of the 3 of us, she is the best at like coming from Bar Stool full time and like knowing Bar Stool in and out, the way things work behind the scenes. Like she is very, very good at it. Whereas I've been around probably about the same amount of time, but not full time like her, and not doing the stuff that she did. So it's like her perspective is a lot different. It's very Bar Stool focused. And then Bree is just like a fresh baby. Like she just doesn't, you know what I mean? Like she's had a couple of years in college, and she now is like, a TikTok star.
Blowing
so
up,
her life is like, I can't relate to that at all. Like I have no idea what the TikTok part of it is like, but so she knows a little bit about college, like that, or a similar experience to myself. And, but But sometimes it is weird with the three of us. Like I catch myself all the time being kind of negative about it, about like younger stuff. Like say they're talking about
like, oh, Gen Z trends wearing.
Yeah. Like I'll sometimes
middle
be like,
parts.
like younger kids. Or I'll say like, oh, I think that's like an age. I bring up the fact that I think it's an age thing. Like if we disagree all the time, I'm like, I think if you were older, you'd think differently. But I have to constantly remind myself, like, how was I thinking at the time of like their age? And you don't think like, oh, they're that much younger than me, but they are a lot younger than me. They're 6 and 8 years younger than me. That's crazy.
That is a lot.
Like that's 6 years ago, I was a completely different person. So it's like, it just is funny dealing with it. But I also like their perspectives on things. Like I like to hear how they're living their lives and how different they are from mine. And then also the same at the same time. Like Rio will talk about how she's going out to some place or whatever. And I'll be like, oh my God, I went to that place. I lived at that place when I was 24. And now I'm like, I wouldn't be caught dead. But it's funny to like kind of be thrown back into that mindset. It makes me feel a little bit younger sometimes.
Yeah, because I try not to talk about my age too much in a negative sense, because when I was like 23, I remember looking at the 28-year-olds, 27-year-olds thinking they were so fucking old.
So fucking old.
Right? I remember being like, oh my God, they're single at 30. That's so embarrassing.
No, right? I have a friend, we laugh about it now all the time because we're still good friends. But one of my jobs I worked at in New York, I was maybe 23 or 24 at the time. And she was 20, I think same thing, like 27 or something. And she was turning 28. And I remember just being like, oh my God, like, ugh, like 28, that's just so old. And I said it. And she was like, Jesus Christ. And I was like, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's not that old. I remember at the time being like, fuck, that was such a dick thing to say. And now I think about like 27-year-olds. And I'm like, oh my God, baby, you're so young. Like, what are you
so
thinking?
Much life ahead of you.
Like, yeah, like you have no idea right now. Like your life's about to change.
That's
like,
the thing.
crazy.
Like now as a 30-year-old, I feel young.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like insecure about being 30.
No.
I almost felt more insecure for 30-year-olds when I was younger.
Totally agree.
And now that I'm in this age, I'm like, oh, like you have you're making more money, you're more established, you know who you are. Like I just feel so much more established in who I am.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. I was talking to one of my best friends about this because her birthday's in a couple of days actually. She turned 30 in September of last year, and I was talking to her about it because my birthday's in December, so I was like about to be 30 as well. And I was like, how's it feel? We always make jokes about like being old, and we like pretend not to celebrate our birthdays, like, oh, it's just another day, like don't worry about it, you know, it's a joke. And she was like, actually, like this was a really good birthday. Like this is the first time like in a while I've been like happy about my birthday and like feeling confident. And she like just got married and she has a really good job, and she's like, I feel so secure in myself right now and so great with myself and my life and whatever that I'm like, you know, I feel like I'm crushing it.
Wow.
And I was like, honestly, you're right. That's a good mindset to have at 30. Like not like oh, I'm old, my life's almost ending. It's like, no, I'm like stepping into myself. Like I finally feel like the person that I am, or like the person that I've wanted to be all this time. I feel honest and normal, and maybe not everybody likes me, but I don't really care that much.
Honest.
Like, it's just kind of,
That's a big thing. Like
honesty is the number one thing, man.
You just kind of like learn who you are, and it comes with age and it comes with experience. And I mean, especially working in like quote unquote the public eye, like we do, it comes with like feedback and I mean
feedback. I love how you say it. So it's
Negativity.
nice. Feedback. Really, really awful comments and mean criticism like all the time.
I just don't even look at it, to be quite honest.
You can't.
Because this is like what I feel like you have to grow and go through. It's like, I know who I am. And if someone's going to judge me because the way I look, or because usually it's never something I said or did. Like, no. Because I'm pretty like benign.
It's always looks based.
It's always looks based.
Especially
it's like,
as women.
It's like you don't even know who I am.
Yeah.
So I don't really care
No.
what you think, Joe Schmo.
I know. I also die at like, I love occasionally looking through and I'll see some of the trolls. And if some of the troll comments are funny, I'll be like, okay, that's like kind of funny. Other times it's like, it'll come from someone it's clearly a burner account or clearly like just bullshitting. And I'm like, what are these people going through? They're like, oh, I'm really going to get her. Like, I'm going to say this. It's going to bother her. It's going to do whatever. And I always feel bad. I'm like, you know what? It's not going to bother me though. Like it's not going to bother me as much as you think it's going to bother me. Like maybe I'll make fun of it or talk about it and you'll get a little bit of my attention, but it's not going to like keep me down at this point in my life. Like,
it gives me like that instant like stomach pain.
Yeah.
Like that gut punch.
Yeah.
And I don't like to feel that way, so I don't look. Like I won't even look through it.
Yeah.
Because you know why? I'm a people pleaser.
I feel that.
And
I feel that.
I like people to like me because I feel like I'm kind and I'm nice to people and I try to give people the benefit of the doubt. So I expect it in return. But the truth is the world doesn't operate that way.
Yeah. No, people are rude. People are assholes. Like that's why I feel like also I'm kind of an asshole sometimes, but I don't feel bad about it because I'm like the way that I am an asshole is just like, I don't know. It's different from everybody else's. I'm an asshole when I need to be. I'm an asshole when it's appropriate. I don't seek out negativity.
You're not a troll.
I'm not mean to people. Yeah, I'm not a troll. I'm not like actively mean to people, but I am brutally honest a lot of the time. And sometimes I look like an asshole in doing that. And I've definitely had to apologize for being a dickhead like all the time. But it's just it's like a self-awareness thing too. Like if you're self-aware and you're a dickhead, you're probably not writing those things. You're just like, oh, whatever. Like if I come in contact with this person, then I maybe will be rude to them or maybe not, but you don't go out of your way to like hide behind closed doors and say some shit, you know?
It's so interesting. Well, you were on 2 like kind of reality TV shows that Bar Stool put on.
Yes, I was.
So when my first week in the office was actually insane because I started and they're like, oh yeah, by the way, do you smell that decaying fish? I'm like, yes. Like I was almost going to die my first day. They're like, yeah, we're doing this thing. It's like Survivor where like 10 employees are living in the office for a week or 10 days or whatever it was.
Yeah, it was a week.
And they're like, and yeah, like they have different challenges. And like today they're eating this like canned fish. It smelled up the entire office. Kelly was one of the 10 people taking part in this week-long experiment, sleeping in the office. So my first week, there's bean bags all over the place. There's pillows. There's decaying fish. I'm like, what the hell is going on?
That was such a funny thing. So yes, we did like a Survivor spoof. It was called Surviving Bar Stool. It was very like tongue-in-cheek version of it, but we still like we lived in the office. We had to like fend for ourselves, and we also could or every day we had like a new challenge that we had to do. And these went from like we had to bob for nips. It was sponsored by like New Amsterdam, so we had to bob for New Amsterdam nips. We had to eat the gross fish. It was like storm strung something. I don't know.
Smelliest fish in the world. I think it's
something
considered.
Literally repulsive. Like it was so gross. And it did. It smelled up the whole office. To be honest, it didn't smell so much right when you were like up in it. It smelled worse when you were further away.
It was my first day. I'm like choking on smelly fish.
Yeah. So it's like that maybe was day 3 of us being there. Maybe even day 2. It was very early in, but we were still like a little delirious. We were also still like excited to be out, or I'm not even out, but like excited to be in the office and trying to like do this reality show. So we're like, you know, filming all day, and then at night we're like, man, we gotta let off some steam. We're drinking at the bar, we're having a good time. So I at this point am in like still feeling like I'm in a fever dream. Like I'm full time here. I'm in the middle of a thing. I'm living in the office. What the hell's going on? I walked down the stairs and you're sitting there, and I was like, am I hallucinating? Like what is happening? Because I hadn't seen you or talked to you in so long.
You were like, I'm dying. I'm sorry.
I hadn't seen or talked to you in so long, and I didn't know you were gonna be working here. And I was like, is that Alyssa? Like, am I going insane right now? Like I gotta go home. Like I gotta quit the show because clearly I'm seeing things. Like what is happening? And that was just that was such a funny, like it made me feel good. I was like, oh my God, like someone I know. And someone I know and like and enjoy is
I was
here.
Excited that you were like happy to see me.
Oh yeah, of course.
It's like, you know, you're starting something new. It's like intimidating.
Yeah, like, for sure. Yeah. But no, I was so psyched because you are of a time in my life that's just so much different than Bar Stool. Where in like I always hesitate to like try to put this into words. Because I always say like my old life, but it's like my like fashion life or like the life where I had my own podcast. And it's like, you know, a lot of the people that I know that have nothing to do with Bar Stool. And like you you're kind of from a different pocket.
They're kind of my old life too in a way.
Like, yes, now we're both we're in that same space in that way. We're like, like I think more about what I'm wearing to this office than I ever did at my old jobs because I don't want to look like an asshole. Like I don't want to show up in like my, you know, whatever fashion forward outfit I think that I'm wearing that I would have worn to like the V office where I used to work. And like I don't wear, like yesterday I wore whatever they're called, like boots with a little bit of a heel to them, and everybody was like, what's going on? And I was like, I mean, these are from Zara, like they're not even that great.
I have 2 speeds
like
in life, and it's hard for me at this office because I'm either dressed to the nines or in sweatpants, and it's hard to like have like in between clothes.
Yes. I'm trying so hard to be in between, and it's so difficult.
It's so hard.
And that's right. Like I used to be able to just dress up all the time or like look cute or whatever. And I still have to look cute. I'm still on camera and everything. But if you wear something that's like a little too outlandish for like the basketball shorts in the office, people are like, whoa,
well,
what's going on?
That's my other thing. I'm like, I'm not
it's
trying
crazy.
to be on like Lowering the Bar wearing like like a fancy hat
That's
or something.
what I'm saying.
You know what I mean?
I literally wore like a bucket hat, like a corduroy bucket hat on Lowering the Bar. And I was like, I wore that to the office and everybody was like, oh,
yeah, like,
whoa,
whoa.
a bucket hat, like non-ironically. I'm like, no, this is like a fashion statement. This is popular right now. And it just was like shit like that, where if you wear something that's a little bit out of the ordinary or a little bit off the beaten track,
No, but
here,
I get
people
compliments
comment
when
on
I
it.
dress up. Like
Oh,
people
total
are
compliments.
like, yes.
Everyone's very complimentary, but it's always like it's a
stand
show-stopping
out.
situation. Yes,
Yeah.
at all times. So it just depends on my mood. Do I want to stop the show today, or do I want to blend right in?
Blend right in.
Yeah.
Wear the sweatpants if you want to blend in.
Exactly.
But,
exactly.
But back to Surviving Bar Stool, you were on that show. Then you were on Bar Stool vs. America, another this time sponsored by High Noon. Everyone was in an RV, traveling different parts of the U.S., taking part in competitions. Kind of similar to the challenge, I would say, if I had to equate it
was very
to
much
something.
like the challenge. We were in 5 cities. We took the RV, but there were 2 RVs, 2 teams. We switched back and forth between the teams based on like voting people off and stealing people and whatever. And each city had a different challenge and a different happy hour. So we got to like meet people out in every city, which was really cool. But the challenges were very much like the challenge. Like they were, I'm like
physical.
Very physical. And I am not a physical person. Like I don't go to the gym. I'm so lazy. Like I'm lucky to be thin. I've always been thin my whole life, but I am just so out of shape. Like I can't run down the street. You know what I mean? Like I am just so bad at all that kind of shit. And they didn't tell me like the level of exertion that I'd have to bring to this. Like Logan, who produced like the whole thing, I kept telling him like, hey man, I can't like run a mile without puking, like just so you know.
Yeah, like,
and he was like, good to know. And I'm like, you don't care, like you're still gonna torture
you're gonna make me run a mile.
And they did, but it was amazing. It was incredible.
You did good in
It
the
came
running
out great.
challenge.
Yeah, well, I mean, I would have been better if I could run. You know what I mean?
But
Like if
you
I
weren't
wasn't
bad.
it wasn't horrible. It was also so much adrenaline and like
You guys have to go back and watch. I think Bar Stool
it's
vs.
worth
America
watching.
more
I think.
than
yes, very much so.
was
Yes,
just wild.
Surviving Bar Stool is very funny and like
It is funny.
It's very like tongue in cheek. It's supposed to be making fun of Survivor. It's like a whole thing. But Bar Stool vs. America is a legit reality TV show. Like
It
that
was
is like
legit.
a competition show, and it is no bullshit. And it'll have you on the edge of your seat. It really will. Like whenever I show my friends,
I'm so scared because Jen's like, we're gonna get you on next year, and I'm like, oh
my
Jesus
God, if you
Christ.
did, I bet you'd be good at it though with this like the strategy stuff. The
I'm underrated,
challenges
I
are a
think.
little that's what I mean. Like because you're kind of sporty. Like people wouldn't think
People
it, but
would
you are.
underestimate
Yeah.
me, and then I'd like pull something out.
Exactly, which is the best feeling. And I'm not totally uncoordinated. It's just it's my cardio is.
But I'm really bad with memory things. Your
That's my only
strength
thing.
on
Yeah.
all these shows is your memory.
Memory stuff is good for me. Yeah.
So on this last show, you did find yourself in an office.
A showman's?
situationship? Yeah, showman's.
Yes, I fell into a showman's unexpectedly.
So
yes.
I think
As one does on reality TV.
so. It's interesting because we work in an office where like a lot of people do date because like
Yeah,
just,
they
it kind of
do.
just happens because we're all like the same age and like it's nothing. It's not like superiors. It's like
Yeah.
equals. You know.
Yes.
And it kind of just happens sometimes. And we see you and Vibbs kind of spark a little romance on the show.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the public is confused if this is for content
Yeah.
or actually happening.
I love to perpetuate the confusion. That's my favorite thing in the world is to perpetuate the confusion. I will say that Vibbs is amazing. I love him. He's incredible. Like as a person, I think he works really hard, and I think that he's great. He really is.
He's
great.
a really nice guy.
And I didn't get to spend a lot of time with him until this trip. Like we'd always kind of been friendly, like hung out a little bit, but never really spent a lot of time until this trip. And I'm glad that we got to spend time on the trip because I don't think I would have like gotten the opportunity to know what a great person he is if not for it. So I'm very thankful for the trip.
Okay, guys, that's the tea. Yeah, Vibbs is a really nice person. I have
He
to
is.
say, everyone's very nice here. Like,
So nice. They try really hard
and
to be nice, I think.
yeah, and I think like people kind of love following along. I posted something that you DM'd me the other day and I sent it to you and someone
Oh my
messaged me and was
God.
like, this like this is why she gets along with Vibbs. Because like it was like something like nerdy.
It's so funny. No, 100%. It's also that. Also the fact that we're exactly the same height. We're basically like same height and weight. Like pretty much. He weighs more than me, but barely. And,
I was gonna say, does he?
Yeah, like literally barely. Like he's got like 20 pounds on me, maybe like 30 at this point. But he, my normal like. If you were to look at my dating track record and think like, oh, who's your type? Like, what's your type? Whatever. My type has always just been like very tall. Doesn't matter what their face looks like. They're probably an asshole. Like that's just always what it's been. And like none of my boyfriends look the same.
Have
like,
you ever dated someone your height or shorter?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, I'm picky with that too. But you're a tall girl. I'm 5'3", so
it's annoying being a tall girl. Like it's so annoying. You know what though too? I think is in my head, my whole life, I've always been like, oh, like your boyfriend or the guy you're seeing or anything has to be like taller than you. Otherwise, whatever. And I am tall. I'm 5'9", which isn't like, I'm not, gargantuan. I'm not really struggling.
You're not.
But if I'm wearing
Amazon
heels, I'm like 6 foot almost every time I'm wearing like decent heels. And a lot of guys are like barely 6 foot. Like that's just kind of a thing. And so usually I just like don't even pay attention to anybody that's my height or shorter. I don't know why I never paid attention. I always just like, oh, whatever.
We're just kind of groomed to think you need someone bigger than you.
Right. Like it was always just like immediate friend zone in my head. And for people who are thinking that way, I think that you should not think that way because that doesn't totally matter. Like it doesn't, you can still feel, my thing always was like, I need somebody so tall because I like to feel small. And because I never get to feel small because I'm just giant and I walk around and I'm whatever. And because I'm thin, I like look taller. And so it's a whole thing. So I just am always wanting to feel small. That feeling small, I've come to realize is just like feeling comforted and feeling like someone is there for you and someone like has your back and whatever. And anybody can make you feel that way if you like, let
interesting.
them.
Also,
something that I've learned.
Also, not to bring it back to age, but to bring it back to age.
Yeah.
It's because I was saying this today. Someone was interviewing me for their podcast, and I was saying my list went from this to this. Like I used to be like tall, athletic, this, that, all superficial.
Totally.
Now you ask me my list, it's like a good person, does self-work, socially liberal. Like, like shit that's just like about being a decent human.
It's so true.
And I agree because like as you get older, now that I am 30, it's like people that I thought like, oh, maybe I wouldn't have like given you a chance because I was a superficial bee like earlier in my life. Like now I'm like, oh, you're a really nice person and like I need to be open to this. Yes. And I think that's a good point, and it does come with age.
It definitely comes with age, and it's also I like right now it's quality over quantity. Like in a way, it's like if you are, like you said, if you're a good person or you care for me or you put forth the effort into showing that you care about me. That is my, personally for me, the most important thing. Like I'm a nurturer big time. Like I can't necessarily like be a provider, like taking care of in that way and like, making sure everything is there. But I'm always checking up on people. I'm always making sure they're okay. How can I help if I can? Like I'm very much like I just want people to feel comfortable around me and how can I help in that way? And I think that a lot of people have trouble accepting that. And it's made me like want to do it less. Like it's like, oh, I don't want to be too much. I don't want to like come out of the gate like asking you like what kind of snacks do you like? So if ever you come over to my house, like there are snacks here that you like.
Stocked,
you know what I mean? Like, stuff like that where I'm just like I'm trying to be considerate. I'm trying to like bring you into my life.
That's a nice
in
quality.
Whatever way. Yeah, in whatever way that you can. But and it goes both ways. Like girls have a hard time too. If guys are like that, they're immediately deemed like clingy and they're too nice and whatever. But it's nice to find someone who's kind of on that same page and you can be honest about it and talk about it and maybe talk about the insecurities that come with it and just kind of, go from there. Like there's less pressure. There's less of a strain on the situation. Like if you just are honest about how you're feeling, it's kind of nice.
But that's also with, I think, learning about yourself, like being able to articulate like this is what I need in someone and this is what I want. And I think that comes with like a confidence too of being like I've dated and this hasn't worked for me in the past.
Right.
And I don't want to go down that path again.
Completely. Learning from mistakes. It's always incredibly
That's why
important.
I actually don't mind being single at 30 right now currently for me because I'm like I know who I am and like my next relationship it's going to be very much like it has to be a certain type of way.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
Totally. I actually agree with you in the way of like, at this age, let's see, let me get my brain right. My last relationship was so serious and really devastating to me. Like, we obviously didn't work out. And it was like, at that point, I finally was like, okay, I don't care about being single anymore. Because for a long time, it was like, oh, I don't want to be single. I want a boyfriend. I want a boyfriend, whatever. After that breakup, I was like, okay, I don't give a fuck if I like have a boyfriend or not. I'm just like, I want basic things. Like, I am lonely, I am like sad, and I want someone to be caring about me, or to know someone's caring about me. Whether they're my boyfriend or not, that doesn't really matter to me at this point. And it's taken me a few years to kind of get back to a point where I'm comfortable even saying those things, like even admitting like how lonely I was, you know? And it's like, sometimes you're lonely in ways where you're like, oh, someone's not physically with me. It's like, okay, yeah, you can be lonely in that way, but you can also be lonely in the way of like, I just feel like if something bad happens to me, like I want somebody to call, I want somebody to text, I want, whatever, like that kind of stuff gets to you. And, your friends step in and you have like people in your life. You're never actually alone, but that feeling of loneliness that comes with like a partner is sort of what I think now is something that I think about versus like just being single or having a boyfriend. Like it's not, it's more, it's a little deeper now. It's not so surface level.
It's so messed up.
Yeah. What?
I don't feel lonely, and that's the bigger problem. Because
I feel like that's actually good, though.
No, because I think it's I don't think I feel my feelings.
Really?
Yeah, because I've been talking to my therapist about this, because she's like, you're not like, I'm very just like, I'm fine. But I really feel fine, like genuinely.
I mean, what's wrong with like being fine? Some days I was fine. Like some days I'd be like, oh, I'm gonna die. But other days I was like, you know what? No, I'm like a bad bitch walking down the street.
I really feel fine, but I think it comes out in other ways.
Sure.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like I'm almost like suppressing my emotions so much that like I don't even know how to feel. So like my therapist sometimes is like, if you feel lonely, like cry. And I'm like, oh, what's that concept? Like,
yeah, are you like a crier? I'm a big crier, so I
think
cry myself to sleep usually.
I'm sensitive. Like, let's say I'm like fighting with my mom or my sister, I'll cry my eyes out.
Sure.
But I don't just like sit home and like cry myself to sleep. Like, if I'm like sad about being single, I'm like, nah.
Yeah.
Like, I'm really like, I don't like wallow in my emotions, which I think is now I'm coming to learn through like months of therapy. I'm like, wow, I'm like really not in touch with my emotions, even though I'm so like vulnerable and I'm so open and I do talk about things. They're still kind of like a wall up like between my feelings. That's so interesting
to me.
I know this is like a new development in my life.
I'm trying to think about myself. Like if I'm crying, I have like cried myself to sleep before, but never about like the general idea of being single. It's always like I miss my ex-boyfriend, or I miss these times, or I miss how I felt at that time. Like it's always something specific that I'm crying about.
I cry if like my feelings are hurt.
Yeah, that makes sense too.
No, but I know some people cry because they're like, I'm single, I'm alone, I'm
definitely
like, I don't
do that.
Feel that. I don't get that.
That to me, I also don't. I have friends that are like that. Yeah. I've never been like crying about that. It's always, like I said, a little more pointed, a little more specific. Do you ever, or have you been in like a life altering relationship? Like maybe you just haven't like got your shit rocked.
I
think
the difference
in a bad
is
way.
I've been the one to be like, this isn't serving me. I don't think I've
like
really experienced heartbreak when someone else ripped the plug on me.
Right.
I've had like heartbreak from like situationships where it's like that agonizing, like what could be, because when like you like someone and then they only like you and you're not available, and then you like it's that push and pull, like that kind of like agony I've felt, but like real like heartbreak, like I've usually the one to like end the relationship, which is kind of like lucky, I guess.
That is lucky. I feel like a lot of times when people are in that situation, I wouldn't say that you are like not in touch with your emotions. I think that maybe you just haven't had to tap into that kind of emotion. Like you haven't had to cry yourself to sleep. You haven't had to feel so bad, you know what I mean? And also some people, if they get broken up with, they're crying about it, they're sad about it, and they get over it kind of fast. Other people wallow in it for literally 3 years, like me.
So I'm the
bedbound for 3 years.
I'm like, oh, you fucked me over. Okay, I'll never think about you again.
Yeah, like that's a good way to think about it, though.
It is on the outside. Like my friends are like, wow, like you really shut that down, and I'm like, yeah, I did. Like it's very empowering.
But
I think I'm not dealing with it. Is my point.
Right.
Like I'm just like,
how would you? So that's like your defense mechanism, sort of, where you're just like, oh, whatever, fuck that.
Yeah.
Do you ever get mad? Like, do you think about it? Like, say you have to think back about it, right? Mm-hmm. And what would your thought be there? Would you be like, oh, like fuck that guy, or oh, I'm angry about that, or oh, that means nothing to me, or is it? Do you ever look back like, fondly and sadly, like, oh, that was kind of nice, or oh, I do wish that worked out, or like how do you?
I'm trying to think of my most recent thing, and I truly believe the guy was a raging psycho. So like I look back at it as like, damn, I dodged a bullet.
Yeah.
Like, so I don't. You know what I mean? Like I think I'm very confident in the fact that like I think I'm a good catch. Like I just do. Like I know my heart. Like I think I'm a good partner. I think would take care of you. Like you said, like you're nurturing, like I'm the same way.
Yeah.
So in my head, I'm like, okay, then maybe you're just not my person if it didn't work out, because with the right person, it's going to be mutual and it's going to click. So I think that's why sometimes I don't lose sleep over things, because I just believe in my heart, like if we were meant to be, we'd be.
Yeah.
But we're not.
I love that way of thinking though. I don't think, I mean, I'm not going to like go against your therapist. I don't necessarily think that that's so unhealthy. I think that's a very optimistic way to look about things.
I'm very realistic.
Yeah. I think it's realistic.
Like,
and I also think it's optimistic though, because I keep referring to like my last relationship that I was so heartbroken. It was the first time I'd ever been like really dumped.
Yeah,
like I was like, this is like usually other situations where like I had done the breaking up, or it was a little mutual, or it was like I maybe wasn't so sad about the breakup, whatever. This one in particular, just rocked my whole world. Like it was just like, oh my God, I saw everything differently. Like it was so hard to come back from. And I never thought that I would be somebody to be affected like that. But it was such a shot at my ego. Like it just, everything, all my confidence that I had at the time, I didn't realize was kind of like given to me by the relationship that I was in. And that bothered me too. Like it made me mad at myself, made me mad about like the situation.
Like I gave so much of myself to you that now that you're gone, I need to pick back up the pieces.
Exactly. Like I'm stuck here by myself picking up the pieces. Also too, when you put yourself out there on such a limb, like your whole body's out there. Like there's a person out there that knows literally everything about me and rejected me for it. Like that feels shitty. You know what I mean?
I totally get that.
And so if you think about it like that, or if you dwell on it like that, that's when you start falling into the pattern of like, I'm crying all the time, or I'm sad, because you feel sad about the relationship. You miss your ex, but you also feel mad at yourself because it's like, I've been rejected for literally who I am. Like that's a shitty feeling.
At least for me, it's like, I don't like when I have to question my own intuition, because I consider myself to have a really good read on people.
I agree with
And
this.
when someone like plays me or does something that I didn't see coming, I'm like, where did I go wrong? Like I almost doubt myself, because I'm like, I should have caught this. And maybe that's like really being hard on yourself, but you kind of start being like, how was I so blinded to this?
I feel the exact same way. I get so mad when or like I'll remember myself like overlooking something. Like something will happen and I'll be like, you know
it
what,
was a red flag.
I'm like, you fucking know what? Like I remember seeing that and I didn't bring it up because I was like, you know what? No, Kelly, you're being cynical. You're this, you're whatever. And then I'll be like, I fucking knew it. I should have trusted my gut. I should have trusted myself. And you get so upset about that and you become really hard on yourself. But it's
because you're like, how did I knew that was a red flag and I let it go.
Right, exactly. But then sometimes it's like,
but you have to give things the benefit of the doubt
you have to give things the benefit of the doubt. You can't, if you live your life looking for red flags all the time, you're going to find something that you don't like, and then that's how you're going to live. You know what I mean? It's just going to be negative all the time, and it's just going to be you on edge, waiting for things to blow up or waiting to pull the plug yourself so you don't get the plug pulled on you.
100%.
It's like a tough thing. Can I say something that a piece of advice that I received recently?
Yes.
And I'm trying to decide if I want to say who gave the advice or not. I won't say who gave me the advice, but it's very, very insightful advice, and I've been telling it to all my friends. Like, I should probably tell. It's like a gentleman who gave me this advice. Yes, and I like it. Just for some reason like hits home so bad. He said to me that I was explaining a situation with someone that I have like a bit of a back and forth relationship with. It's like emotionally painful, but also like it's a very tough situation. I was explaining it. And he told me that he thinks that some people have people come into their lives and they come in and they tear each other up in a good way. Like they are so bound to each other. And then maybe they rip apart, but then they kind of come back together and mend through, and they become like scar tissue where it's always there. And you just have to accept that it's always going to be there, but you just have to adapt to it and change in accordance with it. You know what I mean? I feel like I'm not explaining it as well as
no, I get what you're saying.
Does that make sense? Like people can be scar tissue, not just anything else. And I think that to me made me feel good because I was like, yeah, this person that is kind of like coming in and out of my life and hurts me, and I've maybe like moved on from it, and they're not intentionally hurting me,
but it's still there.
They're still there,
yeah.
And it's always gonna hurt, and it's always gonna feel a certain way. And to think of it as like, oh, that's just scar tissue. Like, yeah, it's gonna be there. You gotta just kind of let it settle in and like change your feelings on it. Like, don't keep trying to push it away.
Yeah, it doesn't mean it's gonna go away.
Exactly. Just like accept that it's a part of your life. It's a part of your story. And I
like that. I like that too, because it's like you don't have to be so anti, like push away.
Right.
It's a good way of just like, it's here and I'm accepting it.
Exactly. Yeah. Like it's here. I'm accepting it. I'm trying to figure out how to deal with it. And, maybe it gets worse, maybe it gets better, but it'll be there.
Enough of our problems. Let's help other people answer their problems.
I loved doing that.
Oh, I just love a good therapy with a friend.
Me
like,
too. It feels so
nothing's
good.
better.
I know.
So now we're just going to give people advice on their problems.
Love it.
Because we all freaking have them.
Love it. Yes, we
She
do.
said, okay, here's the tea. 2 identical twin brothers were both at the same time showing interest in me. Neither of them knew. One only communicated with Snapchat and the other would text me. I never entertained the brother who would use Snapchat. I didn't like the vibe. And I did enjoy talking to the other twin brother who would text me because we had a lot in common and I liked the vibe, but ended up fading out with him because I felt weird about his brother also being interested in me. It's been 2 months and the other brother who only used Snapchat has removed me from everything. And the other brother who would text me has started reaching out again. If I give the idea of talking to him a chance, could it cause a sticky situation in the future?
Interesting.
She's caught in a love triangle with the brothers.
I know. That's ridiculous. Twins are weird, man.
I think it depends if you're like, were you like sexting them?
Yeah, but even so, so the one that was Snapchatting you all the time, she's been removed from all of this stuff. It sounds like the one that was texting her was like, hey man, you're my brother.
That's
like,
what I think.
I'm after this girl. Stop Snapchatting her. Like, leave her alone.
That's
I'm going
what
after her.
I think.
And he probably was like, all right, fine. And like, succumb to it. As long as there wasn't like,
as long as you didn't like make out with both
tip
of them.
pics or like even tip pics I feel like can be forgotten, like whatever. And
you just never want to be at the Christmas table with the brother that you slept with.
Yeah,
you know
like that's
I mean?
a problem. Like you don't want like that movie Family Stone with
I don't know if I know.
with oh my god, it's like a classic with Sarah Jessica Parker and Diane Keaton, and it's actually a really sad like Christmas movie. But the whole premise is she comes with. Sarah Jessica Parker shows up with one of the sons and ends up like getting together with another son in the family house, and then it all works out in the end. But she has like, if you think about it, it's like she has slept with like 2 of these brothers.
So moral of the story with the girl with the twins, like maybe if this isn't going to be your husband, like maybe just don't go there. I don't know if it's
It just seems worth it. I think her story actually is not like the one that you told. No. That's a crazy fucking story. But I think that I think she needs to kind of bring it up. Maybe be like, hey. Like, yes, I like talking to you, whatever. She's like, but also,
did you know
kind
your brother was
like, did you know your brother was like Snapchatting me a while ago and be like, I was like texting you, so I didn't really know, and I didn't want to be rude.
You're right.
And then I bet he'll bring up like, my brother mentioned it, and I told him to back off. Like, I want to talk to you.
You're right.
I think
you gotta
like
bring it up.
I would bring it up because if you don't ever bring it up, then it's like this weird secret. So now, anytime so if you do start dating this guy, you go over to the house, and if the brother's around, you're like, hey, like shifty eyes,
especially if they look alike,
right? And it's like shifty eyes, like oh shit, and then it's like you don't want to fall into something like sketchy, or unless you do, but
unless you've like been intimate with both of them, then I would just say cut it off.
Yeah.
Because that's weird.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, next one, and then we'll move on to the Spill the Tea segment. Last one.
Fabulous.
Ask Alyssa. This is long, but I'm seriously torn on what to do. I haven't heard you cover this topic at all yet on the pod, so I'm sure you'll get to it. My best friend told me she decided to get a divorce. I feel terrible for her husband, however. It was literally out of the blue, and none of our friends saw it coming. Part of me actually may believe she may be experiencing a manic episode because of the decision. She's had a history of mental health issues over the years. Spent 2018 to 2020 with debilitating health issues where her husband was her main care provider. Now she's starting to feel better again and partying and going out again and deciding this. We've been friends for almost 20 years and I seriously don't know how to express my concern without hurting her. I'm wondering if you have any advice for how to express my concern without her totally being upset with me. I just don't want her to make this big decision when she may look back a year from now and regret it. Any feedback is welcomed. Whoa, there's a lot to unpack there.
I say that's an intense message. I think off the top, that's a really hard thing to deal with because...
And you also don't want to generalize that she's like potentially going through something.
No, you don't want that to happen. I think that in this situation, if you're close enough friends with this person that you know about her like mental health history, I would like say this was happening to one of my friends. I'm gonna put myself in this girl's situation. Maybe my best friend is going through this right now. I maybe think that she's fucking up and I maybe want to bring it up. The only way I'm probably going to bring it up is like a, hey, like maybe you've been like a little wild lately. Or you've been kind of all over the place. Like, are you sure that you want to do this? Like, are you feeling good about it? Because if you are, I support you. I just want to be a friend and ask because it is a big decision. It's a big like life change, whatever. And then,
or suggest like, have you guys tried therapy? Like, do you maybe want to like try maybe, some more things before you make this huge life decision?
Right. But then you also have to remember that like you are her friend, but it's her life. You know what I mean? She's going to do what she's going to do. And if this is a mistake in your mind and you think that she's going to make it, like she's got to make it. And maybe if she makes this mistake and realizes that it was a mistake, you'll be there to pick up the pieces. Or if she goes through with this and it ends up being like a great thing for her in her life, then good for her too. It's so hard to tell like what's best for people and what's going on in their brains and what they've told you over the years. Like I feel like especially with relationships with your friends, like you hear like the good parts about the relationship, you hear the bad parts about the relationship, but you are not in the relationship. So you don't know like
you
what's
never
best
know
for
the
them.
dynamic.
Yeah, you never really know. And so it's kind of like all you can go off is what they're telling you and you just have to be supportive. And if you think that she's going through like a manic thing, then I would say if you really think she's going through it and it's like a danger to her life, I would maybe like ask her other friends or like people who aren't in your immediate circle. Like maybe, you know how there's like people have multiple groups of friends. Like if my friend was going through it, I'd maybe talk to one of her college friends or talk to somebody else who knows her in like a different way just for clarity on like, what do you think about this? And if everybody's kind of in on the same page with thinking that something's wrong, then maybe have a little bit of a conversation. Be like, we're just a little worried about you. This is a crazy decision. But if you're sticking
sure
to it, then, you know, it's your life. You got to do you.
I feel the exact same. Sometimes you don't realize what's going on. Like you may from the outside think she has a great relationship with her husband, but you don't really know the dynamic behind closed doors. And maybe it took her years of courage to lead up to this moment. Like you just don't know.
Yeah.
So I agree. But I think you could just sit down with her and be like, hey, like I support you getting a divorce, but I just want to make sure you're doing okay. Like, is there anything that maybe you guys could work on? And maybe she'll say to you, hey, XYZ's been going on. And then you're like, oh no, I totally support it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you
now
just
it's
don't
like,
know.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes a lot of these things when people write in asking for advice with friends, I realize that the people writing in are taking on the friend's problems as if it's like their life almost.
Totally.
And it's like, I do that too with friends. If my friend's in pain, I internalize it as well.
Same, because you care about them and you're like, oh no, like we are fixing this problem together. But in reality, it's like they have to fix it.
At the end of the day, it's like, it's their life to like, quote unquote, like mess up.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
make better or whatever it is. And like, all you could do is just be someone for them to lean on and like support them through their problems.
Completely. And that is such a, I would say as an adult, that's been one of my another one of my like hard lessons to learn is like not inserting yourself in friends' problems or even like not even just girlfriends, like guy friends. You see guy friends going through problems, like you don't always have the best advice, even though you think you do because you're a girl. Or you see exes who are struggling and you're like, I want to insert myself and help them, but it's like, no, I already took myself out of that situation. I can't now bully my way back in just because I see something's going on. You have to really think about, is my help needed here or is my support needed here?
And is it wanted?
Yes. And is it wanted?
Do you know my new thing with friends? I'll say, like, my one friend was going through something with her job where she like wasn't sure if she should quit or stay or whatever. And I asked her, and I think this is a really good way to go about confrontation. I said, can I be candid with you right now? Like I asked for her permission to lay it on heavy. Yeah. And she was like, yes. Cause sometimes like you can't just lay something on someone if they're not ready to like receive it.
Yeah.
And she was like, yes. And I was like very frank in a nurturing, nice way. And like she heard my advice and I think it was like really well received because I made sure she was like there to accept the criticism.
Completely. I think that's so important too in your friendships, especially like adult friendships. Like because sometimes we were saying before how you're sensitive, I'm sensitive too in receiving criticism from my friends. Sometimes I want to just vent and I want you to like be on my side. Yeah. And I want you to be ride or die and just blindly agree with me, talk shit with me. Like this is what I'm doing to make myself feel better about the situation. The reality of it is like I understand and I'll deal with it later. But right now I just want you to talk some shit. Other times I'm genuinely asking, I don't know what's going on. I'm seeking out help and I don't necessarily know what kind of help I need. And those are the times when you as a friend, you need to recognize those times for your friends and be like, hey, seems like you're going through some real shit right now. Do you want to talk about it for real, or do you want to just like joke about it? Like we can do either way, but it is good to ask about it.
Do you think it's on you as the person to be like, do you think it's on me? Let's say I just want to vent and talk shit, and I agree. I don't want advice.
No.
I just want to relish in this like feeling.
Totally, yeah. Like I just need a minute to get it out.
On me to be like upfront and be like, I don't need advice right now. I just need a bitch for a second.
Sometimes, yes. Like I do that all the time, but then occasionally the same topic will come up a bunch of times. Like I think the first time you're like, oh, I just need a bitch about this. I think on like the 5th time where you're like, I just need a bitch about this. It's like the friend can be like, okay, you've been bitching about this a lot.
Get over it.
It's either like get over it, or do you want my real advice? And then at that point, usually a friend will just be like, oh, okay, fine. Like, yes, you're right. I've been complaining about it too much. It's taking up too much space in my brain. Like, what do you think I should do about it to like get it out of here?
That happened with me recently. I like had a situation with a guy, and I like texted my friend being totally dramatic. Like I was just being so dramatic about the entire thing because that was my feelings in that moment, and I wanted her to be dramatic and playful back with me, but she was being practical, which wasn't necessarily fair for either of us because she didn't realize I needed that, and I didn't realize so we almost kind of had like a misunderstanding where she was like, I don't know what I did wrong, and I'm like, you're being too normal. Like,
right, like that is how it goes.
Be crazy
sometimes.
With me for a second and be like, oh my god, yeah, like I love him for you.
Yeah, like just.
And she was like, I don't think he's good for you, and I'm like, I don't need to hear this right now.
Yeah, it's like this. I don't need the brutal honesty at this moment. Like I just let's be crazy for a second.
That's why I'm wondering, like maybe next time up front, I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna be crazy for a second. Like just be here for me.
I think that's like a good way to go about it. Again, just honesty. Always coming back to honesty. Like if you're honest, even with your friends, about how you want to be received and how you want to like receive them, it makes things a lot easier for you. It stops a lot of fights because I feel like I don't often fight with my friends. I'm lucky in that way. I think we all are pretty much like we can sense when each other like are maybe on edge a little bit, and we don't push each other's buttons. But any fights that I have gotten into are like if they're being too real for me at that moment, or if they're trying to be mature and I'm being immature or something, and I just don't want to hear it, or I'm being a brat or something like that, and vice versa, same thing to them. And I think that recognizing that you can be like that sometimes is a good thing. I think it's like it makes you less upset with your friends.
Yeah,
like
you
if they're real to you, be like, it's more of like an eye roll instead of like actual anger. Like, oh, I just wanted you to be crazy. Not like, what the fuck? Like I'm not asking you for advice ever again. Like not, you know.
I agree. Don't take it so seriously.
Yes.
All right, guys, we're going to spill the tea. While I have Kelly here, I want her to spill the tea with me. I have 3 things written down on my list. I think all of them you've probably know about and or seen.
Fabulous.
Did you watch He's All That? The Addison Rae movie.
Did I watch He's All That? Alyssa, I have watched He's All That, I think 3 times now.
I've watched it twice.
I love it.
Okay.
I love it.
I think it's cute too.
It's adorable. It's so ridiculous. I laughed the entire movie.
Yeah.
I think like, I don't know if I was supposed to laugh the entire movie. It's so absurd.
Not exactly a comedy.
Right, but it's so absurd, but adorable at the same time. I loved it.
So I think I enjoyed it because I am one of those people that watches the cheesy Netflix rom-coms. Like,
yes, me too.
I've watched To All the Boys I Loved Before. I watched The Kissing Booth. The Kissing Booth 3 was the worst movie I've ever seen in my life.
You know, I didn't even watch it because you told me. You were like, don't even
Me
bother.
and Mackenzie both were
like,
crying. We're like, this is the worst thing I've literally ever seen.
It's on like the bottom of my list. I will watch it eventually. But
I still haven't finished it.
Yes.
It's that bad.
Oh my God.
But my point is, I know what kinds of acting those types of movies require.
Exactly.
And it's not very... I was going to say high end.
It's like highbrow. No, it's not Oscar. Nobody's winning an Oscar for He's All That. So, it's supposed to be a cheesy rom-com.
So I went in knowing it was going to be a cheesy rom-com, so I wasn't disappointed.
Yes.
Whereas like my friend who's in acting school was like, I mean, it's really not good. And I'm like, no, like I know it's not good.
Yeah.
But that's why I like it.
That's what makes it good.
Yeah.
Like not all movies have to be so serious. It could fit seamlessly into like a Hallmark genre. It's very
Hibley,
much
what I call a Hibley. 100%.
They everything that they do, like right into him like riding in on a white horse, all of the like just symbolism beaten to death, like all of the, even the part where they're sitting and he's describing like what's happened to his family, and he's like, oh yeah, my mom, she passed away 4 years ago, very soon, plane crash, really tragic, like all this shit. You're like, oh fuck, like they're really like they're crushing it all in, like as much.
Yeah, you're right. Like
as
every
much,
cliche.
trauma as they can. Every cliche.
Why does every movie have a death? Like a parent that died. Do you notice this? Like every child's like rom-com, even To All the Boys I Loved Before. on, I think, the kissing booth, or one of them, it's like the dad disappeared or took off, or like it's always something.
I think it's something to show that there's like extra strain on someone's life. Like I feel like whenever people have like a textbook like nuclear family, right? That's what it's called when you have like a mom, a dad, and kids.
Oh yes.
I think that people view that as like, oh, that's easy. Like their life is easier because they like grew up in a regular house, quote unquote regular. It's no such thing as that really anymore. But like they had both their parents. They like grew up differently. It's always like the kind of affluent family in a thing that has like all their parents together and all the shit together. And I think it's like having the protagonist have like a built-in hardship makes their like story arc a little bit better. Like they've overcome so much every time, you know what I mean? Every time. It's like in my opinion the laziest like,
well, because I have friends that like
in a movie
have lost their mom and they're like, oh, again, like, because for them it's hard to like relive that, and it's like every movie. Every movie, there's always like, a dead parent. Oh my God, do I need to, like for them, they almost want like escapism a little bit. And they're like, oh my God, like I don't need to think about this
like this, now I'm going to cry about this. Like I always, and also like the movies like that just love to tug at your heartstrings, like whatever they can to make you cry, and dead parents make you cry.
How do you think Addison Rae did?
I think Addison Rae was exactly how I expected her to be. I think that she's obviously not, she's not an actress. She's also she's 20 years old. Is she even 21 yet?
She's 20.
She's so young. She's never been an actress. She's never been anywhere.
She was never even like in a show. That's what I'm saying.
She was never in a show. I think she's done like one live red carpet in her life. Like she is only on TikTok. She is an established person and she's fantastic in what she does. But this is her first time doing anything like this.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be cheesy. And she is already like a little cheesy.
She is.
And, purposefully, I'm sure. And I think that she knocked it out of the park. I think that like
she was perfect.
It was perfect for her role.
Well, because the thing with her is, I think it's an immaturity thing. Like when she's getting paparazzi'd or she's in interviews, even when she was on Jimmy Kimmel, she laughs the whole time. Like
yes,
it's like
it's
a
like
nervous,
uncomfortable.
It's like
nervous laughter.
Like you know what I mean?
Totally.
It's kind of like a lot
because she's like a kid and she's on fucking Jimmy Fallon. You know what I mean?
So
she's a little nervous.
I was almost picturing more. I thought she was going to bring that more to the role, and she was almost a little bit more contained than I even expected. Sure. So I was like, okay.
She was very much like it to me felt like, oh, I'm reading my lines and I'm acting in this thing. But there were some moments where I could tell that she was like herself came through.
Yeah.
And those like I hate referencing
this moment
where
saying.
They like fall, when she falls off the horse, they fall into like the horse
she's
poop.
Laughing.
And she's laughing and she's like she like throws poop in his face, which is insane. But then says something like she's like, oh, it's mostly grass, right? And she's like joking around. And in that moment I was like, that seemed like a genuine like I'm flirty and jabbing with my friend. Like that was, so I think that there are like parts to her that are legitimately like good.
I think she'll grow.
100%.
Yeah.
I think everybody has to start somewhere.
Also, acting is no joke.
Acting is no fucking joke, especially for a whole movie.
Well, because you have to not be in your head to act.
Right.
And like as someone that's media trained, you're only in your head.
Only that's where you live.
You're putting together a character. Like it's very different. It's very different.
And you have to feel it and you have to have that be like
that's my biggest feedback.
That character. And I think that she did a pretty good job. I think that she was great. I think the movie is fantastic. The only complaint I have really is the like quote unquote ugly kid was hot as fuck. Like just
so hot.
All he needed was a haircut. Like that was literally it. Nothing else.
I was into it.
So hot.
Okay, next conversation point is Courtney and Travis in Italy, which we know.
Oh my.
Scott DMing Younes.
Giannis.
What the hell is his name?
Giannis something. Yeah. I can't think of
Benjinjima.
I can't think of his last name right
basically, now. Scott DMing Courtney's ex saying,
embarrassing.
Could you believe this chick? She's all over him in Italy, blah, blah, blah. And Younes said, I'm happy if she's happy, which is like so annoying because we all know Younes.
I mean, fuck him.
Stereotypically was not good to her.
He was an asshole. Yeah, everybody knows this.
But like, it kind of makes me cringe that he did that to Scott because I feel like Scott was trying 100%. To like have camaraderie.
Totally.
And it's embarrassing.
Has Scott said anything about this yet? I
not
about
publicly.
This the other day. I'm like, has Scott spoken out about the DMs?
No. Oh no. I think he's just going to act like it's photoshopped and ignore it.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, that's the move, right?
Yeah.
Like, just do that. But with what's his face, Jonas, he doing this was fucked up, I think, to like expose him like that and embarrass him like that. Like, why are you embarrassing
It's really
Scott?
embarrassing.
Like, it's not. What are you gonna gain from that? Like, we all still think you're an asshole. I think probably in his head he was like, everybody thinks I'm an asshole, but like Scott's an asshole too.
I think he's like, I'm always being painted the villain. And
right,
like, come
for sure.
on.
And Scott's whatever. But it wasn't even like it was that bad. Like it just makes Scott look like sad and jealous, you know? Like I like makes me feel bad for him again. Like he's obviously dicking around with Amelia.
So Amelia Hamlin posted something about
like, what did she say?
When some quote from the sign guy, you know, the guy that holds the signs.
Oh, yes.
It was like when people show you their true colors, whatever.
Damn.
And then Lisa Rinna also kind of posted something of the same sentiment.
Interesting. I mean, yeah, they got to break up. Like it's time. It's
Lisa
time.
Rinna posted something about like closure. Like sometimes you don't need closure. Sometimes you just need to move on.
Fantastic. Okay, well they're broken up for sure then.
So
like they're totally
if
broken
I was
up.
Amelia, I would be really embarrassed.
I'd be so embarrassed and I would be so hurt. I would be like, I get what sucks for Amelia is that she's so young and she like is clearly in love with him. She loves like the like I am Scott Disick's girlfriend. Like she's grown up in the limelight.
Even though it's met with so much negativity.
Yeah, but she doesn't see it that way. Like she sees it like, oh, he's so cool, and I'm sure he like makes it nice for her and makes it cool for her and whatever. But imagine like being her age and your like older boyfriend who you've like probably night after night convinced like he definitely likes me, he's not still obsessed with his ex, because every single person that he dates, it's like everybody knows like he's still in love with Courtney. Like everyone knows that he'll always be in love with Courtney. He and Courtney are like bound together for life. Like they're the perfect example of like scar tissue. They will always have that. Like that will be their thing, and they have kids and whatever.
I think he's struggling,
there's no escaping her,
knowing that like this might be it for her.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So
like
that's
the door
happening.
Is closed.
The door is closed as fuck. Like she is really out there with Travis.
She's
like,
really out there.
They're like I love seeing them together. Like it's so exciting. But for Scott, yeah, he's like grasping at straws and he's sad and he maybe has this girlfriend, whatever, but he's not going to marry Amelia. Like, is Amelia going to come like watch the kids with him? Like, what do you mean? Like none of that's going to happen. And it sucks for her that she has to face the reality of the fact of like, I'm dating a grown man with like a life and problems and all this shit. Baggage. And I just got embarrassed by him because he clearly is like missing his ex who he's always loved.
My thought the other day, seeing Travis and Courtney in Italy in the Dolce & Gabbana show or Versace, whatever it was, looking stunning, was like, I want them obviously to have like a kid together, but more than that, I want a Kim and Kanye style wedding from them in like Europe or something.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
Travis with his like rocker chic.
Yeah, like a punk rock wedding.
Yes, like I was like, picture the looks that these two
I can't even imagine.
I
can't
know.
even imagine.
Like, you know how Kim and Kanye had that gorgeous, like,
of course,
Italian whatever wedding. I was
the flower
like,
wall. Never forget.
Giving me like that feeling of them being there, and I was like, this would be iconic.
It would be unbelievable.
More than them having kids, like I want them to get married because I just want to see this happen.
It would truly be unbelievable. And I think that they're a couple, I would love if they got married too. I just for all the pomp and circumstance would die for it. Course. They also strike me as a couple that like will never actually get married, and they'll just be like, we're together and that's enough.
Like
you know
MGK
what I mean? Like,
and
yes, like
Megan Fox.
We're twin flames essentially. Like we're together.
We're like blood
this
brothers.
And that. Yeah, like they're like I'd sooner expect them to like be carrying vials of blood for each other than like exchanging
I
vows,
burn for you.
Know what I mean? Yes, literally.
From Bridgerton.
Literally, yes. I burn for you.
I burn for
you.
you.
Oh my God. What a reminder. I forgot all about Bridgerton
I know,
for a minute.
me too.
Ooh, what a time when Bridgerton came out. My God.
What a time.
So hot. I might rewatch that.
You know what?
It's
I might
it's
rewatch
been a while.
it
It's
too.
been like 4 months since I rewatched. But it is true. Yeah. It's like, I mean, they're great. I feel bad for Scott. I feel bad for Amelia.
Do you know I don't feel bad for Scott?
Honestly. You don't feel bad for him?
No.
I think that that's a fair thing to say.
I think he had his chance.
Yeah.
I think she gave him ultimatums. I think she said to him very clearly for multiple years, I need you to do these things to get back with me. And he couldn't do them.
Yeah.
And I think she just, it probably got so turned off.
Totally.
You know, when like by the end of like someone just not doing it and letting you down, you're like, I want nothing to do with you.
You get tired. You're just like, time and time again, you've disappointed me, whether it was intentional or not. You just constantly keep disappointing me. And then at a certain point, when someone disappoints you so many times in a row, and you start to feel bad, being like, you have disappointed me so many times in a row, and I feel bad for being angry that you just can't get your shit together. Like
it's like, this is sad.
You have to now feel like my disrespect. Like, and that's shitty too. Like sometimes you just gotta.
I think she's just like, I'm done.
Yeah.
That's what I really think.
Sometimes you have to.
Okay.
And she seems pretty done.
Last topic, Bachelor in Paradise. Okay. I had an epiphany, which I think has been growing within me for seasons. And now that I've come to this realization, like I can't unsee it. And I need to explain it to you and then hear your thoughts.
Okay.
I think why the Bachelor franchise is not as great anymore, it has nothing to do with people going for the wrong reasons. We've had that for seasons to come. It has to do with producer intervention. When you watch a show like Love Island or you watch any other dating show like Too Hot to Handle, it's not as obvious when producers are pulling the strings. I think when Alon Gale left, they were like, oh, he was the best producer, so now like we need to facilitate all this fake drama in order for the show to be good, because they think as a viewer we come for the drama,
right?
Which we do to an extent,
totally.
But I think there's been so many, like the producers are pulling the strings so much that it's actually taking away from the true storylines playing out in a way they would actually play out and be interesting. Like I don't like the Demi playing a character stuff. I don't like just all like Kendall coming down onto the, like, yes, we like it all, but I like it in a more natural way. It's become so obviously produced that it's just like taking away from like the integrity of the show.
I agree with you to a certain extent. I think that I like a kind of like when Alan Gale was there, I like a little bit of producer involvement. It's become too much. Like it's just a little
too much.
It's I'm trying to think of the right word. They'll get involved in a way of like suggesting them to act in certain ways and react in certain ways. But when they start inserting themselves in like the most recent episode where they're like giving Chasen jewelry to give to Deandra right after
great example.
Carl gave jewelry.
Yes.
It's like that. If you have one thing like that in an episode, okay, maybe it's funny, maybe it's whatever, a little tongue in cheek, like a little silly. But I feel like every episode, it's just ton of stuff like that, where it's this episode had Demi setting up a birthday party for Kenny, like all this stuff, like so much like help from the producers. And now it's become really obvious that all of it is like help from the producers.
Because
like, none of it is organic.
At the end of the day, like I do like the love stories and I'm there for the real drama. And like I want to see the real conversation. And it's taking away because I watch shows like Love Island and they're not even necessarily built on drama. Like the girls are so nice to each other. Did you watch Love Island?
I love Love Island, yeah. I've only seen a couple of seasons, but I love it.
They're really nice to each other. And like the drama just comes from the relationships. It's not from all these like outside things.
Totally, yeah.
And I think The Bachelor's actually getting so far gone by bringing in all these like Lance Bass and this and that. It's almost like so facilitated at this point that nothing feels natural.
I agree. I also think that has something to do with the fact that they are trying to turn around these seasons so quickly.
Yeah.
Like Bachelor in Paradise is filmed, I think, over 2 weeks time. So they have to, it's almost like a quick, go, like fast, whatever. Whereas Love Island is so good because it's filmed over like a month's time.
Yeah.
And it's like there's more time to kind of cultivate natural drama. Like relationships and natural drama. Whereas like The Bachelor, they need to churn it out. You know?
Yeah, they're like, we need you to get engaged tomorrow.
Yeah, like they're on a time crunch, which like
they need to change the formula.
That's what I mean.
Bit.
Like they just do so much of it now. Like it's on all year round. Like it's this year specifically. We had The Bachelor in January. We had The Bachelorette in the springtime. Then we had Bachelor in Paradise. In a month we have Bachelorette again, and then we'll have Bachelor in January. Like what are we gonna?
I think
there's never any. There's 2 weeks. There was 1 week between Bachelorette and Bachelor in Paradise. I think there's 2 weeks before Michelle's season of The Bachelor that's coming up. Between Matt and Katie's season, there was a month, maybe a month and a half. It just is like, it's so much.
They're getting in their own way,
I feel. Bit longer.
Like
they are.
They're actually overthinking it.
Yes.
Like they're like, how do we become more diverse? How do we become more accepting? How do we become more sex positive? Versus like, just let people hook up and we'll see. They don't need to talk about it so much. Like,
yes.
Like they're almost like, Demi, go in and be the vixen.
Like, right, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, like play this role, do whatever. Which again, I don't dislike totally, but it does change the tone of the show. Like it's not.
It's just
it's become like a cheesy reality show.
It's coming
and
cheesy.
People are leaning into that versus older days of The Bachelor. I would watch The Bachelor with like my eyes glued to the screen with tears in them. Like I was so
because
overcome with emotion.
Something.
Yes, and like the music was good. And now like obviously, with our after show and with all the recaps we do, they're very tongue in cheek. We're always making fun of it. Yeah. We're always like pointing out all of the very obvious producer things or the stuff that's so predictable, like the music or like the outfits or, oh, that guy didn't get that much airtime, he's probably leaving. Like we've picked up on these patterns because we've been watching it for so long. But that doesn't mean that the show has to continue on with these patterns. Like they can go outside the box, not in ways that they're doing, but they can, surprise us a little bit with certain things. And I think that they like being so over the top at this point. Like I think that they're trending that way because they like it. Like I think that people respond to it.
I think they need to do that because they get a response on social media.
Totally.
But I actually think the show would see more success with like people being actually invested in these people if they went more of like the love route and less of the let's force everything route.
You know what I hate and what I think is actually ruining the show, and it might have something to do with this too, with the producers kind of at the same time, once they get there, it makes it difficult. I think that the contestants who speak to each other in between seasons, like either they find each other on social media or, you know, whatever, them having relationships with each other before they come onto Paradise or before they come onto whatever show ruins it completely. Like Paradise right now, half of the things that are going on, the issues are because like, oh, they've had a relationship with like Brendan's possibly has a relationship with Piper outside of this, and is she going to come down? Who knows? Obviously she's going to show up. Like it's just, it seems so manufactured, and they already know each other, and it's already like the wool is not over my eyes.
It's only manufactured because they don't let them talk about it.
Right. And that's what we keep saying. I think talk about the fact that you were DMing. Like talk about that. Talk about the fact that you went on dates. Be like,
be in your ITM being like, we met one time and like I kind of got a vibe from him, but I wasn't sure. So like I've been waiting for him to come down.
Yeah. Like I hope he's coming so we can see if it works. Chris and Jasenia.
Jasenia, who Same I love, by the way, on this season.
Yes. This season, I could not stand
her I'm like, I'm like, you're stunning, you're everything.
Yes. Like, last time, I talked major shit about Jasenia.
And now
I'm like, Jasenia, my girl. Like, I literally, I talked so much shit about her, and now I love her. But that's exactly my point. Like that. Yeah.
That's exactly it. Like of course they're going to talk in between seasons. That's what happens. If I was on the show and some hot guy DM'd me, I'd talk to him too before Paradise.
100%.
The thing is, the producers, again, are trying to keep this facade. It's like, I would just go in there and be like, yeah, no, we talked, and like, we're not dating, but I'm interested in getting to know other people. Like, just be open.
Right. Just be open about it. And to be honest, that was the whole like crux of when Claire was the Bachelorette for 5 minutes. Blake Moynes and Claire had like been DMing, and it was this big fucking secret, and it was this huge reveal at the end, being like it was, there was scuttlebutt about like, were they DMing before? And then it became like an argument amongst the men. But it's like, yeah, he DM'd hot Claire, who was going to be the Bachelorette before. Like that's
like not a big deal.
Like, probably a bunch of you throw out a Hail Mary DM too, and just like don't want to admit it. You know what I mean? Like they need to like get with the times in that way. Like acknowledge the social part of it. Don't lump the social media stuff in with like clout chasing, 'cause it's not always like that. There's also social media to be used to like cultivate relationships, not just to like get more followers.
I wish they like crowdsourced people to come in and like give opinions. I'm like,
so bad.
Like I just want to give you my opinion. All right, that's the show for today. Kelly Keegs, thank you so much for coming on. Where could everyone follow you, tune into all the stuff that you have going on?
Thank you so much for having me. Let's see, Because We Got High on all platforms. That's the podcast with Rhea and Bree. Cutting Stems is live after every Bachelor, Bachelorette, Bachelor in Paradise on the Chicks in the Office YouTube. And what else? And then follow me on Twitter at Kelly Keegs, Instagram at Kelly.Keegs, and TikTok. I got to talk about this quickly.
Yeah.
On my TikTok now, I'm trying to kill it. I'm just like waking up to TikTok. Like I'm always posting stuff.
You're getting your niche on there now.
Yes, I'm trying to finally get my thing. I'm bad at all the usual like trends and things like that. I just like, I don't really fuck with it. I'm not that great at it. So I was always putting stuff on TikTok randomly, like whatever. Now I figured out what I'm going to do. I am now every day putting out a new video breaking down the tarot card deck. I'm becoming a witch. So
she's literally breaking it down, and it's fascinating.
Every single one. And they're not so serious. Like, and they're probably insulting to like people who actually
care about it. But you have a good memory, so you're perfect for this. I commented, but it's fun. My memory could never.
It's just, if there are 78 cards, so there will be 78 videos, and it's just like every day it's like a quick little thing I'm putting on TikTok, and we're gonna learn it, and maybe by the end of it I'll be able to read some tarot for the class.
You could do a reading for me when you're done.
I'm gonna do it. People are already like, I can't wait till you're done. Do a reading. I'm like, it's gonna be a terrible reading, but I'm gonna do them all day long.
I'll do my best.
All day long I'll be doing readings. So follow along on there. You can see them. You can learn it with me. It's so weird and really fun, honestly. So I'm having a good time with it.
Well, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.